I accidentally wrote a short story recently, and it was for a school project, and then I realized that it wasn't going to work for the project. So at first I kind of felt like I wasted my effort on it, and then I realized it was pretty good, so it's not wasted. It's a science fiction story. It's still this is called Every Martian Knows. They kept using Earth dates for years. If a date was important, like a birthday, it was kept using the old Earth date plus the new Martian one. Since the days and years weren't the same length, it was impossible to manually keep track of. At first, people used apps on their phones to keep track of the date on Earth. Eventually, they just collectively lost interest. When people started being born on Mars, they still had a legally recorded Earth birthday, but they probably never thought about it. They grew accustomed to the Martian year the same way that their ancestors became accustomed to the Earth one. They grew up with it. It was normal. The cities were underground. They mined ores, were farmed in the giant hydroponics factories. The light down there was bright, but it wasn't warm. People said that one day terraforming would be far enough along that they could live on the surface. But maybe now, but still, it always felt cold. Krish wasn't freezing when he was in her arms. They were normal 8-year-old Martian adolescents. Love was life and death, no cynicism. They hurt like humans have always hurt when they give too much of themselves away. They talked about life off of Mars. Technically, any Martian was legally allowed to leave, but they couldn't endure Earth's gravity, so no normal person could afford a ticket on one of the regular passenger flights between the planets. Only the rich could do that. Sometimes, though, when he was working under the dome, he could see Earth twinkle through the thin Martian atmosphere. She gave him an old-fashioned memory card, the kind of thing their grandparents would have used. She bought it at an antique shop in one of the tourist areas of Bradbury. It had old Earth-style music on it, the kind no one on Mars made anymore, the kind with strummed, growling instruments and bass that throbbed, the kind with imperfect measures and jagged edges, the kind with drums that sounded like war and lust, the kind with real human vocals. The singer didn't sound like anything that Krish had ever heard before. The vocal was high-pitched and wild. He listened carefully and wrote down lyrics in a notebook that he kept. They were about lost people struggling to find each other and about sex, a lot about sex. It made him feel free and dangerous to hear this music, and it became a secret pact between them. He asked her what kind of music this was. She smiled and said it was rock and roll, and then she kissed him. And her name was Lucilla, and she tasted like alcohol and ashes. And they turned up the volume and forgot about Mars for a moment. Lucilla's music moved him. Quite a lot of other things from the old Earth did not. They spent time with the classics in school, and Krish often felt no connection to them. Earth literature was about Earth. It was about green fields and forests, about plants, animals, wars, and exploration. Mars was nothing like that. Martians read Earth books, and they were reading to escape. Krish wanted to see himself in a story before he thought about escape. He would write his own story. Paper wasn't really common on Mars. Almost all paper came from hemp plants, and it was somewhat expensive. People kept notes or sent messages on phones. This technology was old news on Earth at this point, but it was still common on Mars. He wrote chapters and sent them to Lucilla, or read them to her while they spent time together avoiding the world. The stories took the people he knew and rearranged them into different configurations, different relationships, different circumstances. They were set in the past and the present, in Bradbury, in Mangala, or one of the other handful of towns that he'd been to. He wrote and wrote and wrote. Lucilla eventually gave a copy of one of his stories to their English teacher, Mrs. Donaldson, who was impressed. She asked Krish about his writing. I don't know. I just didn't feel like A Tale of Two Cities had anything to say to me. So I wanted to write something that did. This is a really good story, Krish, but you're still a human being. You may not live in Europe or Earth, but you have the same heart as anyone who does. I don't know if I believe that, man. Are we really humans now? We've spent our whole lives on Mars. I think we're something else now. Krish liked Miss Donaldson. She'd always been a nice person and a good teacher to him. He couldn't help thinking she was wrong, though. They sat in the grass under the dome in a park and watched a sandstorm gather in the distance. It was night. She touched his face and wrapped her arms around him. Look, Phobos, he said, and they looked up through the leaves, through the clear dome, as the little satellite raced across the sky. Every Martian knows that it takes 4.5 hours to cross the sky. Then, without a word between them, their eyes found Earth's twinkling light with Luna barely visible below it. Thinking about the billions of lives being spent there, the billions of eyes closing somewhere under that same sun. He wept. Hey, what's wrong? She asked him. Just all of us. All of this. The breathing and fucking. We are monkeys lost in the stars, and I don't know what it means. My father died under this dirt in a place he never belonged in, but we made ours. And now I'm here, and I will be here with him, born to be a miner, with no other options. All we are doing here is digging our graves. And she kissed him. And she was strong and sure. She never questioned things like this to him, but she always listened and understood. It was their language, their way. He was dreamy, morose, adolescent, and she was the stoic voice of reason and pragmatism. Krish, this is our time to sit under the stars. It doesn't mean more than that. It means more than that to them, he said, gesturing to the blue planet. It meant more than that to my father, I think, my mom. Well, they had you. People tend to find meaning in a life spent taking care of someone. My grandmother has taken care of my grandfather for 10 years because of his cancer. You'd think she'd be miserable, but she stays busy. She's happy. She turned to look him